Hi, everybody. Roxanne Steed here. Let's see if I can get it right this time. It has been a while since I have connected my little accessory tabletop camera. So I had to play around with that. And it's like, I don't remember how I had it hooked up before. And it was just like a month or so ago that I last used it. So anyway, I am updating my supply list for travel workshops, and I have sent a list out to my group, and I'm going to post that on my website and make it available in some other places because I have included a couple of new things that I really enjoy bringing with me. And I just wanted to kind of go through the visuals of what I would bring, um, just so it's for those who are visual learners, it's easy to see. So let me start at the top of my short list of supplies. First thing is paint. So whether you go for a little ready-made travel palette or you like to fill your own, I love filling my own. I have tried out all different kinds over the years. Let me turn this camera down just so we can talk about this a little more in depth. Um, Here we go. So I love these little, I think they're called heritage palettes, or the brand name on some of them are called, it looks like My Jello. I don't know if you pronounce it My Yellow or My Jello, but anyway, they're these blue plastic covers. They've got like one part that you can take out for extra mixing space. I always like sticking in a few extra colors that I tend to enjoy that I wanted to add to my palette. And then I use pretty much the same basic colors every time. They're just filled up. They're ones that I have settled on after years and years of painting. And like I tell my classes, you usually start out with whatever your first teacher recommends. And then over time, you decide there's some that you love, some that you don't love. And if you find some that you don't use, you don't love, that are just taking up valuable real estate, pop it out and put something else in that you love. These are some new ones that I have found that I kind of do like, and they will probably end up staying here on my palette. These extra little pans are just some whole pans that I have um, attached in with some Gorilla Glue, so they're not going anywhere. And once you fill up your pans, before you take them on a trip, let them sit out for at least a couple of days. If you live in a really humid area where things take a little longer to dry, you want them to set up so that, oh, see, that's still tacky. And that's been closed up for a long time. And, it leaves a little bit of a blue imprint. So I'm going to wipe that off, clean that off my fingers so I don't spread it on everything. But usually they're going to have a pretty dry skin on them before you go anywhere. Because if you don't, and you close it up and you drop it in your pouch or your whatever you carry your stuff in, and if they're not dry, you tip them, they're just going to run all over the place. And then all that expensive paint is going to be one big mingled blob and you can't use it. So anyway, let them sit open, let them dry, get a skin on them before you go taking them anywhere. And even with that, I usually like to stick them in a Ziploc just in case there's, when I'm out painting, if I get them kind of splashy and wet, I stick this in a Ziploc, maybe tuck a paper towel in there to soak up any extra loose stuff. These little palettes do have somewhat of a rubber seal around them that keeps them pretty well contained. However, you get the idea. It's better safe than sorry. So the next thing I do have on my list is brushes. And depending, where I'm going, what I'm doing, if I am painting all in sketchbooks, I bring sketchbook sized brushes. If I'm working on some bigger blocks that I'm working, taking a trip and doing some special large plein air paintings, I will bring, of course, bigger brushes. I like these canvas roll type brushes, and I just stick all the ones that I'm bringing, brushes, pens, pencils, whatever I happen to want to take with me, mechanical pencils. I just stick them in, roll them up, and tie it up. And there you have it. They're, pretty safe. You've got your tips protected so they're not getting smacked around. You don't want to throw them loose in a bag. If you really love the idea of them, these little travel brushes are great. And of course, I just bought a couple new ones about a week ago. And even though these are nice, I don't know, I still have my favorite brushes that I just prefer. I mean, these Princeton Velvet Touch brushes, I love them. And there's just something that I like about my regular brushes. There's the comforts of home. And so, yeah, the travel brushes are cool and James Bond and all that stuff, but I like my regular brushes. So, sketchbook, I tell you, one of my favorite ones for traveling overseas is the Stillman and Burn book. And when they're brand new, they look like this. They're all wrapped up nice and tight. It's the beta series. It's a soft cover, so it's fairly light. It's funny, but once you add a hardcover to that, they suddenly get a little bit heavier. This, of course, is a mixed media surface. It's wood pulp paper. It's not, I'm sorry for the reflection, it's not 100% cotton paper. If that bothers you and you really love the cotton, I do recommend the Hanamula sketchbooks. And they have beautiful 100% cotton pages. It's a lovely, lovely book. And it's somewhat of a hardcover, but it's not so heavy that it weighs down your whole pack. So these are really nice too. That's my other favorite. So my top two favorites are the Hanamula, if you like 100% cotton, and then this Stillman and Burn book. And I tell you, one of the things that I like about it is that it is not so precious. You've heard that phrase, having it so precious that you're afraid to use it. I've had a couple of stellar books with me before on trips, and they were just so overly precious that it was kind of a pain to use them. It was just, I felt like I was holding back. Where here, it's like, you know what? This paper is, any paper that is not all cotton is going to dry a little quicker. It's not going to have that luscious, wonderful quality of all cotton. However, for a wood pulp paper, this is really a nice paper. And it's even though it's a cold press, to me, I mean, they do call it a multimedia surface. It's not so toothy that it tears up the ink nibs on your pens, like your Pigma microns. Sometimes those little fine tips, if you're on a really toothy paper, it can just really kind of eat up the nibs pretty quickly. I like this size. This is a 7.5 by 7.5 square booklet. And it's makes a nice size to do you can see the size. There's a regular watercolor paintbrush, and so they have a big enough spread to get quite a nice picture in, lots of room for notes. Whenever I'm traveling, I do like to write some notes about where I was, what I saw, all that kind of stuff. It's light enough so that if you're working plein air, you're not hauling around a bunch of heavy stuff. I've carried other sketchbooks that I do love and enjoy if I'm kind of traveling close to home. But if I've got to carry stuff on my shoulder all day long, being a tourist and, all the stuff, some of those heavier books will really begin to weigh on you. So you can tell this is from 2022. I haven't finished all the pages. So it's like my sketchbooks are kind of always a work in progress. I do like pages with little vignettes of different things from the day. Anyway, let's get back to that list. Oh, and on this one, one of the fun things was when I was in Florence, I went into a shop where this family, they make marbled paper. and their technique has changed over the years, but it's mainly the paint products that they use have changed. But the technique is, other than that, is pretty similar as it's been for hundreds of years. And I ended up buying paper that I could attach to my sketchbook cover and just make this wonderful cover. I think I put it on with either Mod Podge or one of the acrylic mediums, and so it gives it, you know, a nice hard finish. And then you can go on top of all of his incredible work with you know, a little white Posca pen, throw in some dots, put your lettering, labeling. It's a lot of fun. So one thing that I like to bring, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I love my Viva paper towels. They're super smooth and soft. They don't have imprints of whatever they stamp the imprint these with. So that if you want to do a little bit of tickle and blot to maybe remove a little, you know, lift a little bit of paint, this is not going to leave a funky mark on your paper. It is soft. Now you can, you know, I wouldn't pack a whole roll, but I do usually bring at least a handful, and I don't share. And I do use them over, you know, if they're not too caked with paint, you can, you know, use these over, let them air dry. They're pretty hardy for paper towels. You know, a lot of what I use, you know, I will use what I can find over there, and I don't love it, but there you go. I don't want to bring a whole pack of paper towels, but you know, I will bring myself a handful. I do, let's see, also recommend some spare paper for making swatches. If I am, you know, just going out for the day, I will take just, you know, a little piece of leftover watercolor paper from something else. And, you know, it was a demo that I did on transparent colors. And I will use this, I'll just tuck it in the back of my book for making color swatches, just to test out colors to see, you know, is this dark enough, light enough, red enough, all that kind of stuff. And I will get, for that, a pad of Canson XL paper. It looks like this. A 9x12 pad is a great size. I don't bring a whole pad of this. I will bring maybe a page for each day that I'm teaching, or if I'm not teaching, a page that for each day that I'm touring around. And then I will fold it in half and just tear off a half a page which pretty much fits in my sketchbook. So, you know, we'll just pull this off of the top, fold it back and forth a couple of times, just tear it in half, and then tuck that half in the back of my sketchbook. And that's all I need for making color test swatches. So let's see, what else? A pencil, a number 2 pencil. This one's a Pentel. It's got a 0.3 size lead. It's pretty narrow, and it's got a little nice eraser tucked in. So I like to have a mechanical pencil. Pigma Micron pens. I usually bring several in small sizes, like 005 or 02, 03. You know, I usually like the smaller size pen nibs. And I bring several just in case, you know, one of them goes dry. They don't take up much space and they don't weigh that much. If I bring a fountain pen, I'm bringing one of my Lamy Safaris that I have filled with Diatramentus document ink, and those make wonderful lines too, and I enjoy those. I know not everybody wants to mess with a fountain pen, but if you enjoy them, that's a nice option to bring too. Let's see, erasers. Oh, another thing on the pen list, these little Posca pens. They look like this. They're actually they're like acrylic paint markers, and you've got to shake them before you use them. They've got various sizes of nibs. They make wonderful little dots and white lines. And if you're writing on something dark, let's see, like you want to write on some, the name of something on top of some dark painted area. It's kind of it's fun. And who doesn't like stuff that's fun? Erasers. I love these little gray kneaded erasers because you can kind of squish them down and make a fine point to get into a little area that you need to erase. I do particularly love the ones that come in a plastic box. These Faber-Castells come in their own little box, and that keeps them from getting dried out and hard. And it also keeps other weird stuff that's floating around your kit from getting smushed in there. And so the nice thing is when you go erasing off a bunch of graphite, they're self-cleaning. You just knead them, like kneading bread. You knead them back into themselves, and then you've got, a nice point. Also some other erasers that are really helpful. I have come to really like this Statler Mars white plastic eraser. Gives you a nice clean finish. And then also Tombow makes these two little clickable erasers. So if you have a really tiny place to get into, these are really helpful too. And I learned this from another illustrator whose work I had admired and was taking a class from. And that was a fun little tool. Here's one of the holy grail things that I have been looking for forever, and it was always a hit and miss. And finally, I have found the one. So a lot of times I'll like to tape off a border. Sometimes I'll paint from edge to edge on a page and just run it right off the edge. But sometimes I do like to have a nice clean border. And so I'll tape it off. And that way, you've got this clean edge, the tape, the paint just ends right at the tape. And then when you're all done painting and everything's dry, you just peel off the tape and you've got these gorgeous clean edges. And one of the things that I would find was that when I would go to peel the tape off, so many brands, either it wouldn't stick and you wouldn't get a clean edge and you'd have stuff running under and a fuzzy mess, or it would stick so well that you couldn't peel it off the paper. I found this from St. Louis Art Supply, and it is made by the company Nichiban in Japan. And I've got myself a 3/8 of an inch width and a 7/8 of an inch. I've used this, a lot, but this is also really helpful, and they don't weigh that much. I'm bringing both. I really like them. Let's see. Some other tape. Oh, that's in the optional section. One of the things that I like to bring, and I can't find my pair, I don't know where it has gone missing to, but I like to bring a pair of scissors. And one of the things that I have always done, because I had this recommended, is to only bring the kiddie safety scissors, with the rounded tips like they have for elementary school kids. Supposedly, if you have some pointy ones, they'll probably, TSA will probably take them away from you because they'll think, you've got, you're going to hijack a plane with a pair of scissors. And I'm not making light of this. And I've had odd things taken from me in my art supply bag. And then sat across from people with knitting needles that I'm thinking, you let them on the plane with knitting needles. I'm just really surprised. So anyway, rounded tip scissors. Another thing that's kind of fun is either a glue stick or glue tape. One of the things that's kind of fun, especially if you're on a travel workshop, is you might visit either a great museum or maybe a fun gallery, and you want to remember what was that gallery that I visited, that had the cool artist whose work that I admired, or that fantastic museum or cathedral. So it's nice to have a way to attach some of those things. Here I've attached these with a beautiful washi tape. And people ask, what's washi tape? So washi tape is just a decorative tape. They come in all different colors, even different amounts of stickum, which I find that kind of annoying. Some of them peel off easily. Some of them don't ever peel off. So I can't use the decorative washi tape for, like making borders, because inevitably when I have, they're either falling off or they are not sticking. So when I want to use it for a little decorative piece that's going to stay in here, I will put glue stick underneath it just to hold it, because I want it to stay and I don't want it falling off. And sometimes it's beautiful and I just want to put it in as a border because it goes with wherever I happen to have visited. Let's see. Other things that I recommend is a little squirt bottle. They make these even smaller. Let's see if I still have. I used to have one that was even tinier. That was great if you were going out for just a day. And I'm not seeing it in my bag. But you can find even tinier ones than this. This is a 2-ounce bottle, which, I love these little Holbein bottles. They have a really fine mist, so they're not making blobs. There's times when that is going to come in handy. If you're just using it to wet your paints, probably you could get the one from the drugstore travel section. Sometimes they have little squirt bottles in there. These, though, are really handy if you want to make a mist across, a painted surface on your page and you want a very even mist. This is going to do it. So I do like those Holbein squirt bottles. Another thing that you're going to want is a foldable water cup. And the best one that I have found yet is by Faber-Castell. I don't know if you can see the label on the bottom. There you go. It's really sturdy, so it pops up and it's big enough to, pour water into for your paint. Swish out your brush, once you're done, give it a swish, and you're good to go. I have had other people gift some to me, or that came from the dollar store or the pet supply store, and they had slits and they would leak, and then they weren't very stable. They had a very narrow bottom, so you put them down and plunk, they're all over the place. So this has a little bit of weight to the bottom, and it also has this nice rippled edge, so you can lay your paintbrush on there. It's not going to roll off and end up in a ditch or full of dirt. It's going to stay there. If you've got a stable place to set your cup on, it's not going to tip over unless somebody knocks it with their hand. So they're really stable. They don't take up a lot of room. They're not that heavy. And anything else, I just say don't. They end up being more trouble than they're worth. One thing that you may want to bring is a water bottle for you, or some to drink and some to paint with. If I'm, and this is going to be the heaviest thing in your pack, is whatever you carry water in. When I travel overseas, I just buy a bottle of water, just I know I hate plastic, but sometimes it's just a necessary evil until you find something better. But I'll buy a bottle of water and then just reuse it, and I will drink it, and then I will also use it for my paint water. A hat with a brim to protect your eyes. You can actually see sunscreen if you're going to be out in sun at all. Another thing that I love having is bulldog clips just to hold your pages from the wind, so that they're not blowing around. Usually I bring 2 or 3 and I'll clip both sides. So that, you know, that way I can have everything secure because, it never fails. The wind's going to pick up just when you sit down to paint. Some of the options that I have on my list are washi tape. Sometimes it's nice just to add, if you're going to add a border that's decorative in there, or you're going to add maybe a museum flyer or maybe a vellum page insert. They're handy for a lot of things. And get something that's cute that you like. If you're going to traveling to a place that has a big city like Florence with art supplies, there's I found some lovely washi tape that was over there that was very Italian and was kind of fun to include. And one last thing that makes a nice option is a very lightweight clear plastic ruler. I love this one. It's a foot long, so it's a little bit of a stretch to carry it with me all the time. But if I have room for, I mean, it's flat. It's just that it's long. But if you have like a shorter one, this is a kind of a lightweight plastic material. And it was a free one from St. Louis Art Supply, and something that I ordered probably when I ordered tape or paint from them. It's 6 inches. It's almost long enough. I would say if I had one that was either 8 or 10 inches, it would be perfect. But I'm not going to go lopping off my, couple inches off of this one. I might just see if I can fit it into my bag somehow. I don't know. And a lot of times what I'm using this for is just to make, I'm drawing lines to make lettering. And so if I'm really not, wanting something to stick out, I'm, like an extra ruler, I'm going to use just the flat edge of one of my scrap pieces of paper. And then I'm just going to use that to make some guidelines for lettering, or if I want to, square off a page somehow. So let's see. Finally, what to carry it all in. Let me bring this camera up. And so this next part, this is the holy grail of, another one of those holy grails, I should say. Move this up a little bit out of the way. So the one bag that I have been carrying for years that I kind of like, I've kind of just glommed onto this. It's a little backpack that I got from DSW, Discount Shoe Warehouse. And it is made by Steve Madden. But again, this was from years ago. It was like way before COVID. So you'll probably, I don't know, maybe you'll find something like it, maybe not. So that's the thing. And even though I like this a lot, and I still use this for carrying stuff around locally and on trips, because I haven't found anything better, the thing that I would love to find is a crossbody bag that's sort of like this. So it has, a nylon finish. It's pretty much dirt proof. Things, slide off of it. It's got a great pocket on the front. So I put things like tape and glue sticks and just oddball things in there. And then the main pocket, it's got a secure zipper pocket. So if I wanted to put my wallet down here in the bottom and then put in, maybe my passport in the zippered container, I could do that. It would be pretty secure. And it's got some open pockets that I can stick, the little water squirter, and it's plenty wide enough for a water bottle, sketchbook, tape, brush holder, some paper towels, all the stuff. However, and it does have a zipper. I do like bags that zip all the way across the top. However, if I'm traveling overseas, I am not going to put all my stuff on my back where I can't see what's going on with pickpockets and all the stuff. So a lot of times if I'm out painting with this, I'm going to be carrying it like this, which I hate. So for my next trip, I am looking for something that it has a crossbody strap so that I can wear it like a regular crossbody bag. Um, I've had students find all kinds of great things at either TJ Maxx, even the Goodwill. They've kind of rejiggered an old camera bag. And one student of mine actually had, this was, I initially thought this was a great idea. He had one of those um, stuff you put your personal items for, a travel thing, like your shampoo and all that, your dop kit or whatever you call it. And it was one of these hanging ones. And he had his pens in one, his brushes in another, paints and stuff. And it was like, it was pretty neat. And then you could hang it all because they usually have a hanging thing. However, when he packed everything up to go home, and I was watching and I asked him, how do you carry that? Does it have a shoulder strap? And he says, no, that's the only drawback. And I thought, yeah, so that's not for me. I've got to have something that I can hang on me hands free so that I can pay attention to pay attention to make sure my stuff is secure and all of that. So there you have it. I covered all the materials and how to carry it. And so if you have a favorite bag that you travel with your paint and a lot of times I would carry two things. I mean, when I carry this for my paint, I would have a separate crossbody bag for my purse that had my wallet and all the stuff that I want to keep secure because I keep that like on me. And so I just felt like this pack mule with all the stuff hanging off of me. So I'm looking for something that maybe I can have as all in one. I want it to be durable. I don't want it, heavy like canvas material. I know some people get some great stuff from the hardware store, with tote bags. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to carry your art gear. And I know some people do go super, super light and they get those small, tiny palettes. I've tried those before. They're cool. They're ultra James Bond, but they're also um, once you get once you have a love for having mixing space, I can't go back to anything smaller than this. It just isn't fun. So it isn't fun for me. So if you still like the smaller kits, go for it. They're certainly adequate for, if that's your jam. So anyway, what I was going to suggest is if you do have a favorite, go over to Facebook. I have a Facebook group on there called Traveling Light with Watercolor. Share a photo of your favorite bag. Give us some ideas of what you love, and maybe some of the rest of us can find a better sack to carry our items. But all the stuff that's in there, like this tape, gotta have some of that. That's some handy things. All right, happy painting, guys, and travel light. Bye.